Right.
You
It's just the
don't,
beginning of your
yes, you are now starting off. And that's where you have to start on work on it rather than just think that I've had a beautiful day today and that's the end of it. Now we are going on to honeymoon and everything will be perfect in life. We all know that's not how the way it is. And all the realities do hit, like when once they're married, they need to put down a deposit for their house, buy a decent car, and all the costs do pile up.
Sure.
So they should think all into a balance.
I mean, I guess a little bit later in the program, I will be raising the question that you've kind of already answered. The money that we're spending on a wedding, would that not be better utilized if the couple was just given that money so they can start their new life, pay off some debts, maybe buy a house, buy a car, whatever they need to start? We'll answer that question in just a bit. But Kay, just quickly before we go to a break, who's actually forking out the money for this expense? Is it the parents or is it the couples themselves?
Yeah, I was going to actually comment on that. It's not the parents anymore.
No.
The parents may pay for aspects of the wedding, like the venue, for instance, or they may pay for the catering, for everything else. I mean, the couples are actually forking out more and more towards the wedding, and in some instances, it is actually them that's paying for it because they want the say in the final decision-making power.
So is it unfair for me to blame the groom's family for putting undue pressure on the bride's family for having this lavish, extravagant wedding? Because that was my impression, that the reason that these weddings are so huge is because, for the most part, the bride's family has to kind of live up to a certain standard and has to, for a lack of a better word, show off.
I think you're right there. It's not unheard of. I've dealt with clients who had to take out additional mortgages on their houses. They've had borrowings from the bank just to service a specific type of wedding. Asian weddings are marketed in a certain way. You know, there's an expectation that everybody has to live up to, if not better, the next event, the event that they went to last one. So there's an underlying pressure all the time to make sure there are lavish events. I think so. Also, for that reason, there are budgets and stuff have to be borne in mind, and not everybody has the capability to pay for these such lavish weddings. So, yeah, all sorts of financial constraints do come into that, but payment is being made from all avenues at the moment.
Taking out second mortgages and repaying a debt for pretty much the rest of your life for a single event is a little obscene, I think.
Hemingway was mentioning earlier that they have to think about the all the time after that one day, but there seems to be a total focus on that particular function day or the day, a couple of days of that time. After that, there's no sort of realistic thinking about actually what are we going to do afterwards. We've actually got to live life now. We're
going to have to pay this off somehow. Hemingway, do you believe that there is pressure on the bride's family to a certain extent to have this really lavish event?
Yes, there are all kinds of pressures. From the bridegroom side sometimes, where they say, see, we are going to come with so many family, friends and so on, and we have to live up to this standard because we had a wedding in our side and it was that good. And they might sometimes say, okay, because you don't have to provide this in a traditional setting, we will pay a bit towards it as well.
Right.
But we want that quality.
Right, of course.
Can you arrange that for us? This also happens. And then the bride also goes and says to the parents, see, Dad, it's once in a lifetime. Please, please, Mom, can I have it this way?
Yeah.
And then parents are saying, yes, beta, you are my love. I'll do it for you. So there are all kinds of different pressures coming, and they are being pushed because of their friends, peer pressure, as we know, and then neighbors and so on, and the magazines.
Yeah,
right.
And they do a lot to glamorize all these things, which is nice, not against it. But as I said, balance is important. While you focus on the day of wedding, also focus much more on how you're going to make it work.
Right, on the marriage itself. We're talking about South Asian weddings. Are we putting the emphasis on the wrong thing just on the wedding day and leaving marriage to be an afterthought? I'll be back after this short break. Hi, welcome back to Broken Silence. I'm Sanyya Gardez. Why are we as South Asians insistent on spending upwards of 50,000 pounds on a single day? Are we just trying to show off? Joining me to get to the bottom of this is Harpreet Mann from Finishing Touch Cars in Birmingham, Hitesh Rao from Rao Studios in Leicester, and once again it's Hemang Bhatt, a Hindu priest. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you.
So are we just showing off? Are we just trying to outdo each other?
Right. Well, is it really? Okay. I mean, about showing off, I think it's not so much showing off. It's showing, what one's dreams, or, especially the bride. I always blame it on the bride, But, the bride, the groom, they have an aspiration, a dream of what their wedding will be like.
But is it really the bride and groom? Aren't we just doing it for what everybody else is going to say? The bride and groom don't even get to really enjoy their wedding day. They're just too stressed out and have to, be all composed and kind of reserved, and you're not really mingling and getting a real flavor of the event anyway.
I think it's a combination of things. It's just occasion, the bride and groom want to celebrate, their love for each other and their wedding day. And you want to share it with, your family and friends. It's a much occasion where you want everyone to join in and be part of the day. And these days, people have got more disposable income, so you can afford a more lavish wedding, and that's why we do it.
But I think it was Kay who said earlier that people aren't, it's not just people that can afford these weddings that are spending this much. I mean, I think we all know that. I mean, not everybody can really afford a £100,000 wedding, but we all want that wedding, so we'll do what? We'll remortgage our house, we'll sell off our furniture, whatever, give blood, whatever we need to do to have that wedding. And I think that we're taking away from, I hope this doesn't sound like I'm blaming either one of you, but aren't we just taking away from, like Hemang Bhatt said, that we're just taking away from the spiritual aspect of the marriage itself? We're so focused on creating this huge event, not Hitesh, I've got to disagree with you, not for the bride and groom. We're doing it for the people that are coming to the wedding. What are they going to say when they leave?
Basically, if we look at a wedding in its entirety, from, let's say, the religious ceremony in the morning to going on to the receptions and everything in the evening, once a bride and groom have sort of pitched an idea to each other first, because I bet that's where it starts. They both sit down and they decide, this is what we're looking at. They start off with a certain budget. 9 times out of 10, they might even go over it. But fractionally, it will be a representation of mostly, I think most young adults who are getting married, are sensible enough to know what their budget is and where they should be. When they come to see me, I mean, I've been doing this for about 20 years, and, from parents coming to see me to now only the young couple coming to see me, I know that, they pretty much know what they want. They're clued up. They come to me. They know what kind of albums they want. They know the prices. They know the market. They've not just been to 1 or 2 or even 3. They've probably seen dozens of service providers. So they're very, very clued up. So A, they know what they want, which is a good start, and B, it's not entirely for the audience. I speak to couples and I say, look, what sort of budget we're looking at, where we want to be, and I do discuss, how they want. And, they're looking for something for themselves. They know what they want,
Well, how have you seen it change in the 20 years that you've been in the industry? How has it become more extravagant? How has it become more lavish?
I wouldn't say it's just become more extravagant or more lavish. Weddings have been grand, from day one. Weddings can be great. They're more available, like before, if there was a smaller car, or like the Rolls Royce, before it used to be a certain shape and size, and now you have a different shape and size.
Well, we can't really compare a wedding day to the
actual car that they have, though, isn't it? Yeah, it's like if they are hiring a car, or if they're hiring a mandap, or let's say they're hiring a DJ. A DJ before used to turn up with a turntable and a couple of speakers and some lights, and now they have a completely massive rig that'll blow your mind away. But they were the sign of the times in those days, and then they bought in DVDs, and that's the next. So everything is upgrading. It's still the same. It's just upgraded.
I understand keeping up with technology. However, spending £25,000 on a ice sculpture isn't keeping up with technology. It's trying to keep up with the Joneses, and that is what my problem is. That we're making it so hard for people to get married and to kind of save face. Because if you, like we discussed before the show, yes, there are couples that are getting married in school halls and having it really low-key. They're very far and few in between, and it takes them a lifetime of living it down.
And I would also like to come into